a long time ago,
Last week,
in a galaxy far, far away,
this building,
two intrepid space travelers
collectors,
went on a quest to find ancient relics
collectibles.
to bring to the greatest Star Wars show ever.
I don't get paid enough to keep you in line.
Oh, well, you're right. Welcome back, guys. And I know this is a little weird, but this is a special edition of C&H Collectibles because, Hampton, it's May the 4th.
I'm more of a Revenge of the Fifth kind of guy.
Revenge of the 5th?
Yeah.
How about Return of the 6th? You don't like Return of the 6th? You're a Sith guy, aren't you?
Mandalorian.
Oh, well, Mandalorian guy. But anyway, guys, we wanted to do this special show for you guys because we've been off a week and we've been, soundproofing this new studio the best we can. You probably will still hear a little bit of echoes here and there, and I apologize for that, guys, but we will get everything worked out. But we couldn't really push our streams back any further than what we needed to. But today, we have some really great collectibles for you guys that me and Hampton have been storming the warehouse for, about a week now looking for?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Okay. So we've been looking for this for about a week, and we have a really nice stuff for you guys. And we have some really nice giveaways for you guys today, too. Hampton, I think the giveaways are amazing. What do you think?
I think these are some of our best giveaways so far.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So, guys, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it because I know you guys have missed me. I don't know if you missed him or not. Don't give me that look.
I do what I want.
But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and start with our first item. Let me move my Stormtrooper helmet. Our first item for today that we're going to be talking about is a nice little bobblehead, I guess you would say. They're called wobblers, but they're bobbleheads. I mean, who can really admit that it's not a bobblehead?
The Wobblers was the first official bobblehead series done by Funko. So, of course, they're all going to look wacky, but it's better than getting your typical Funko Pop and it being a bobblehead and you just wanting a figure.
Yeah. So, a reason I really wanted to talk about this is because it's Princess Leia.
Right.
And what teenage boy didn't have a crush on Princess Leia growing up? I mean, come on. Carrie Fisher, rest in peace. Everybody loved that woman.
So, fun fact, Princess Leia in her slave outfit in episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carrie Fisher's biggest complaint was that Boba Fett was constantly looking down her top. And she said if you were at the right angle, you could see everything going all the way down. So, of course, he got him an eyeful.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, he definitely got himself an eyeful. I mean, I know a lot of girls cosplay as Princess Leia, especially this version of Princess Leia where she's got the, like I like to call the cinnamon roll bun, hairstyle. I think this is an awesome little bobblehead, though. Like, I mean, this is something that I would just put on the, like the dash of my car and just let it bobble as I'm driving down the road.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not big on collecting bobbleheads, but man, like, I just thought this was cool because it's Princess Leia and it's in her most iconic outfit ever. And I mean, it's made by Funko. If you guys can see that on the camera, it is made by Funko. Funko didn't make a lot of these. I actually looked this up the other day, Hampton. Funko only made so many of these, which was weird because, I guess they just didn't sell well or something.
It could have been that they didn't sell well. It could have been like a limited edition thing or a limited run.
Yeah.
Contracts with Disney can have any kind of stipulations to them, especially with their newest franchise that they now own. Star Wars.
Yeah. So it's completely understandable why they didn't make this because I'm sure Disney was giving them a bunch of crap about it. And it's just like, hey, can't make a bunch of these because blah, 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 blah. We're Disney and we're better than everybody else. Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
Well,
dissing on Disney after we just did a Disney show.
Didn't say I like them.
Nah, we love you, Disney.
I don't. I'm coming for you, Disney. They're stealing my franchises, man.
Mm.
I'm getting mad about that. But moving on, let's talk about another little Princess Leia figure we have. And honestly, Hampton, this is probably one of the better ones that we have to talk about today.
Oh yeah.
So this is Princess Leia Funko Pop with a speed rider or speed bike. The 40th anniversary series.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very rare series to have, guys. This series came out, I want to say, 3 years ago, around that time.
Yep.
Everything that you see on the back right here was part of the 40th anniversary ones. These are all really, really nice.
Exceptionally rare at this point.
Exceptionally rare at this point. This one's super rare, and I know it's got a little bit of dust on there, guys, but I'm trying to clean it off. It's just that warehouse. It's kind of dirty. But other than it being dirty, honestly, the box is in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of the better figures that we have out there when it comes to Funko Pops and Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
I mean, any collector should pick this up. I really would recommend it. I kind of want one of these for myself now. I might actually just pick this up for myself. I mean, you know.
Your budget doesn't allow it.
What does my budget allow? Don't answer that. I don't want to know. But I really enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite scenes in Return of the Jedi. I think it's amazing. She really shows that, you know, she can stand her own whenever she's fighting the two stormtroopers. Remember when they're all like flying by her and she's got to like back up, and then she like jukes one really bad to where they just run straight into the tree and then they blow up.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite scenes. I think that's amazing. I just think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it really showed back in that time that, you know, you didn't have to have that damsel in distress kind of character.
Yeah.
That Princess Leia really stood up for herself. And I think that really influenced a lot of younger generation girls to be more like Princess Leia.
Oh, yeah.
And more of like, go out there, be a go-getter, do what you have to do. You don't have to listen to no man, because young, independent white woman kind of situation.
Princess Leia really is a good example of a strong female protagonist that can stand on her own.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of those things that really makes Star Wars stand out, especially during its time period.
Mm-hmm.
You've got movies like Star Wars, Alien,
Yep.
and that entire series.
Yep.
You have Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley, who, again, super strong woman. One of my favorite scenes is her just strapping a flamethrower and an assault rifle together and loading up and just walking into a hive, destroying everything in sight.
And the thing is, Hampton, is like that was kind of unheard of for back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the 70s, 80s era. That was really unheard of for like women to take on that more of, you know, main role, you know?
Well, even in the 90s, it was still pretty unheard
It
of.
was, yeah. Recently, it just kind of got more to that point of where like women can be more of the main role and not be frowned upon for it because they're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really, you know, admire Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher, because they were one of the first women to, you know, lay that groundwork.
Yep.
To kind of put that there. Let's see. Let's move on. So Hampton, you're gonna have to help me a little bit on the name on this guy.
Okay.
But this is a Garindon?
Garindon.
Garindon? Okay. So tell me a little bit about this guy.
So, for those that remember the older movies,
Mm-hmm.
Garindon, if I recall, that particular figure is of Garindon in Episode 4, New Hope. He's the one that rats on Han Solo and everyone to let the Empire know, hey, there's some weird droids that are getting ready to get smuggled off planet. You guys might want to go check it out.
Yeah.
Sure enough, stormtroopers show up. The Millennium Falcon gets shot. The typical run-of-the-mill day for Han Solo and Chewie.
And I really like how it actually just says Empire Spy right there. I don't know if they can see this. I think they can. But it says Empire Spy right there. So it's kind of like, yeah, this is what his name was, but he was an Empire Spy.
So, if memory serves correctly, In the original VHS and theatrical release of A New Hope, as it was just known as Star Wars A New Hope, there was no episodes at the time. It was supposed to be its own contained story, and it was supposed to end at the celebration. Garindon is originally credited as Empire Spy.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I always thought this was a really cool, like, little figure, and like it's the 2017 Galactic Convention, so it also came from this series.
Yep.
So this series was actually really kind of. This series was kind of really hard to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Because there were very limited print of this stuff. And this is when Funko wasn't really like Funko then. This is when they were just kind of putting their hands into this stuff.
I love how he says Funko wasn't really Funko. And
Well,
Funko's been around for like close to 10 years now.
They weren't really that popular when this series came out, though.
Funko was pretty popular around then.
Well, yeah, I guess in 2017 they were kind of popular, but I feel like as times went on, they've gotten way more popular than what they were.
And that is one thing I will say. Funko is one of those that keeps getting more and more popular. That's why we're talking about so many of their things today, especially. Yeah. We try and bury it, but when it comes down to it, for like some of the cooler convention figures, I hate to say it, Funko is definitely on top of their game for this.
And I really like this because it's in a pop protector too.
Of course.
So like if somebody was to buy this because this is the only one we have on site, they will get it in the pop protector.
Yep.
Which is cool. So guys, if you want to buy this, it is in the pop protector. It's in great shape. I mean, I love it. I think it's a beautiful figure, and I would love to have it for my own personal collection.
Of course you would.
I mean, I'd love to have a lot of things for my own personal collection. You know me,
okay,
Hampton.
Look, the thing that I want for my collection, we haven't gotten to yet.
That's fair. And guys, everything you see on the table is not all we got to talk about today.
Oh, we brought so many more things.
There's just stuff off camera that you can't see, but I'm looking at it right now, and Hampton, it's pretty beautiful stuff, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. I guess you could say that we smuggled it.
Get out.
No.
Okay. Moving on. So let's talk about everybody's favorite kid, because everybody loves this kid, and even I love this kid because he is pretty darn cute.
Especially when he starts eating, fish eggs.
Yeah. The child. I'm not going to call him by his real name because there might be some people that haven't seen that season 2 yet.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen season 2 though, let me tell you, it's a great season.
And you're behind.
And you're behind. Get caught up. It's on Disney Plus. I mean, it's easy. Just $7 a month, guys.
But season 3 is confirmed for this year. We don't know exactly what's going to happen.
That's true. We have no idea what's going to happen because there's a lot of controversy going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Hampton, you want to talk a little bit about that? A little bit of the controversy that's been going on with, the Mandalorian?
So, of course, the main controversy stems... There's several points of contention right now. We have all the real-world controversy with Gina Carano, and, whether or not they're going to recast Cara Dune.
Yep.
If they do, are they going to go ahead and continue with the new Cara Dune as she is for both The Mandalorian and Rangers of the Republic?
Right.
Are we going to see Rangers of the Republic getting canned and having Cara Dune just subtly removed from the screen? We don't know. That's one of the things that we'll definitely be discussing today. Some of the other big controversy is over the stuff with the Darksaber.
Yeah.
And, who is actually in charge now? You'll get my views on it when we get to our discussion segment. So stick around.
Guys, today is a 2-hour show. I don't know if I had brought that up at the beginning, but today is a 2-hour show because it's a special, and we missed you guys, and I just wanted to talk to you guys because I love yous. But I like this figure a lot, and this is a very unique box, Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
This is a super unique box because most of your Funkos stand like that.
Yep.
This one stands like this.
Well, if you look on the inside of the box, in the background, you see a mythosaur skull, which is an iconic symbol of the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that it is meant to either be kept in the box, or if you do take it out of the box, the child is going to have that background with
Yeah.
them.
And I think the main reason they really had to put, in this kind of style box is because look at those ears.
I mean, look at those big old ears.
Look
Ain't
at
they
those
just
ears.
precious?
Those are some big old ears.
Hmm.
But everybody loves the child. As far as I know, people that I know that aren't even really hardcore Star Wars fans like the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They love it.
Well, because it's a different take on it, and it's like, you know what? The Jedi aren't really the main focus.
No.
Yeah, the Mando was given a quest to reunite the child with his people.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily about the Jedi. It's about a bounty hunter trying to make his way through the galaxy and then, see what he runs into.
Yep.
And I think that's why The Mandalorian has been so loved.
Yep.
Especially for it to have only come up, as soon as it has. It's only been out for a couple years now. And you know what? I can't wait for the end of this year when we get season 3.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Guys, I want to know, who is your favorite character of Star Wars?
Boba Fett.
Not you. I already know you. You were wearing a mask when we first came on. But guys, tell me your favorite character of Star Wars. We all know his is Boba Fett. Personally, mine is Han Solo. I like Han Solo a lot.
Chump.
Chump?
Chump.
Chump? Oh, yeah. Fair.
Expanded universe, Boba Fett and Han Solo get along in a very unique fashion, but you know what? It's one of those things of, it's a relationship between them that is honestly just really nice in general.
Yeah.
And you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Even if Han Solo is afraid that he's getting ready to get shot up by Boba Fett the moment he sees him.
Oh, yeah. So let's move on to our next item. And I know everybody can probably see this on camera, but Hampton, this is one of the most rare Star Wars collector things that you could really have out of Funko.
Oh.
So Funko did this little series where they did a 3-pack of like certain characters. It could be any character, and they did a few Star Wars ones like this.
Yeah.
It just so happens that we had this one, and I wanted to talk about this one. So we have I think that's his name, Tarful? Tarful? Okay. That's from episode 3, right?
Yes, that is from episode 3. Turns out, and Star Wars Republic Commando, one of the greatest Star Wars video games ever. So we'll get around to the Battlestar Galactica stream eventually. Don't you worry about that. So Tarful is the chieftain and leader of the Wookiees.
Yeah.
We'll get around to a Star Trek stream eventually.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely do a Star Trek stream. We just had to do Star Wars because it's May the 4th.
But Tarful is essentially the supreme commander of the Wookiees.
Yeah.
He's the one that leads them all, and he is the elder of them. So he's super important. Like him and Yoda, BFFs, big friends.
Yeah.
So he's not the only one that's a big focus here in this box. We also have Emperor Palpatine.
This is when he was like the actual Senate.
Yeah.
I am the Senate.
Technically, at this point, he was still just Chancellor Palpatine. However, of course, Mace Windu assaulted him. And
he had every right to assault him.
But, of course, this is right before Palpatine takes full control and becomes Emperor.
Yeah. And as you can see, he's shooting the little lightning bolts out of his hands.
Unlimited power.
I think that figure is just cool because he's got his unlimited power.
Oh, yeah.
Coming out of his fingertips. And honestly, man, like when I was a kid, because Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. I would have been like 13 when it came out. So when Revenge of the Sith came out, and I didn't really connect the dots with everything beforehand.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. So I didn't really connect all the dots. And then when it turned out that Anakin was Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine was the Emperor,
Right.
it freaked me out. I was like, whew, mind blown.
He had his mind blown. I just went, saw it in theaters opening night, and didn't blink for 2.5 hours. And you know what? That was the greatest pain of my life.
So I have to admit, I actually went and watched episode 3 like 5 times in theaters.
That's fair. I saw it multiple times myself. And you know what? I would gladly see it again in theaters if it was there.
Yeah. And
Everyone just rags on episode 3 just being this horrible movie. The prequel trilogy just god awful. And that's not necessarily the case.
No.
You got to keep in mind, the actors honestly did a really good job, especially with what they were given. Episode 2 was a weak point. Episode 3 was actually really good. Episode 1, we're not going to talk about Jar Jar. I will go ahead and say my 2 favorite characters from episode 1 are Qui-Gon Jinn
and Jar Jar Binks.
and Jar Jar Binks. That's why I have him frozen in carbonite at home.
Ah, me so Jar Jar Binks.
Yusa is frozen in carbonite.
Me see your humble servant.
And then, of course, the last figure in this 3-pack is the Utapau Clone Trooper. Now, the reason why he's there, you notice these are 3 major things that bring about the final turning point in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Tarful leading the offensive with the clones and Yoda
Yep.
on Kashyyyk.
Yep.
You have Emperor Palpatine becoming the Emperor. You
Yep.
have Utapau, which was... Get back to that in a second.
Best Wookiee noise? That's a baby Wookiee.
That sounded like a goat.
Yeah, it did. Oh.
I
But-
can't do a Wookiee.
When it comes down to it, Utapau was the deciding factor and what broke the back of the Confederate Army. That's where General Grievous died. So, of course, the Utapau clone troopers are super important simply because they were there.
Weren't they the first Order 66 troopers too?
Order 66 went out across the galaxy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this brings up the interesting idea, and a lot of people have, talked about this for years, is did Commander Cody specifically order his troops to miss Obi-Wan on purpose, or was that the birth of stormtroopers and their inaccuracy against main characters? I want to say that it really is just that Cody had that close of a bond, as well as all of the men under his command had that much of a bond with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon during the Clone Wars. There's novels that completely cover, a young general falling in love with clone commandos.
Well, even if you go back and watch the actual Clone Wars series, you can see where Commander Cody and his squadron are very attached to Obi-Wan. Like they're super attached to him.
They have the utmost respect. And in a lot of ways, Obi-Wan treats them like the family he never got to know.
Yeah. Because, he's a Jedi. He can't have a family. Well, it's frowned upon anyway.
Yeah.
But this is also a Walmart exclusive, Hampton. And I remember when these first came out a few years ago, and I wanted to buy one, and I wasn't actually collecting Funko Pops then. That was before I became Chris the Collector. It was more of like Chris wish he had money guy.
That is fair.
But I always wanted to get my hands on one of these. So I know these are like out of print now. So they're super, super collectible now.
Oh, yeah.
So like if you guys can get your hands on one of these, which we have one in stock. You can buy it at trollanddough.com. You could definitely make your money's worth off of this because this is totally worth it.
No, JTO 100, you're not being ignored. There we go.
Don't think we're ignoring anybody. We're not ignoring nobody.
No, we would never ignore anybody. Unless we get paid to.
Yeah, and we don't.
All right, so that brings us to our next collectible to talk about. Again, this is going to be another Funko, but these are actually pretty unique in and of themselves.
It's a Funko, but it's not a Funko.
So the Funko Hikari series is a Japan exclusive series that there's a limited print. Of course,
And as you can see, 750 pieces. That's all that's in the world of this little guy.
Of that particular stormtrooper.
Yep.
Now, there's different variations on it, but they're all limited, and it's one of those things of they're just meant to be unique. It's a whole new artistic take on like a pre-existing figure.
Yeah. And I really like these kind of collectibles. Like I thought about buying a couple of them myself. There's a Deadpool one that I think is like 1,500 pieces, but this one's way more rare because there's only 750 of them made. So guys, when I say there's 750 of them made, that's all there is 750 of these. That's all there is in the entire world, 750 of them. That's it. So if you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of any of them, you don't have to be Star Wars related, but just any of these in general that has that little sticker that says it's like a limited series, you should grab them because honestly, I've been seeing a lot of these go upwards for around 500, 600 bucks for a lot of these. Yeah.
And there's something for everyone with the Hikari series. There's Transformers. You've got Marvel, DC, Star Wars, a little bit of everything.
Yep.
So if you don't find one that you necessarily want right away, that's okay. Keep shopping. You probably will find one.
And I don't think Funko does the Hikari series anymore. Like, I think this might be an actual, like, limited run, and it's over with now.
So about the only time you'll actually see a Hikari figure anymore is at conventions. They've just made them that much rarer to get a hold of.
Yep.
Bringing it on to our next item for discussion. Now, this ship to me holds a personal and very important place in my heart because I'll give you the history lesson on the ship very shortly.
And guys, I'm really excited to talk about this. Like, I'm super excited to talk about this.
That makes two of us. So, of course, here we have Slave One.
And guys, we're not putting this under the webcam. There's no way it will even fit.
Yeah, it won't. So, now, way back in the day, Kenner was on top of the game with all the Star Wars figures. Now, this is, of course, the whole Power of the Force series. This was essentially their most interactive toys.
Yes.
There was a place inside where you could store everything.
Yep.
There was Han Solo in carbonite.
Almost dropped it.
Definitely don't drop that. But there was a place where you could hook the Han Solo frozen in carbonite on the inside. There's a handle on the back of it so you can hold it like it's and have it flying around. Now, so interesting thing. Slave One. Originally stolen by Jango Fett himself.
Yep.
Now, he stole not only the ship, but the blueprints for the ship. What he has is a prototype. There was only 3 made altogether. They all 3 belong to Mandalorians.
Really?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that.
So they were made by Kuat Drive Yards, and they were meant to be like a security gunship.
Yeah.
Meant for orbit,
Yeah.
atmosphere, you name it. If they needed to go and chase someone down, they could. They were set up so that you could haul prisoners. You could do pretty much anything you needed to with it. And if you were going to be transporting a prisoner from one star system over here on the Outer Rim all the way to the core worlds, you could do it because there was enough space for you to live in there, as well as haul 8 people that are frozen in carbonite.
Man, you know what really like brings back a lot of memories with this?
What's that?
My cousin, and story time for you all. My cousin owns every Star Wars toy in existence. And I know what you're thinking. Chris, that's preposterous. Like, there's nobody can own every Star Wars toy in history. This man literally owned every Star Wars toy in history. There was some figures of his that I seen when I was a little kid, a wee little collector, that I blew my mind. Like, I was like, how did you get these? And he was just like, oh, I order them offline and stuff. That's when eBay was really popular and stuff like that.
Yep.
This was his baby. He had one of these, the Boba Fett Slave Ones, and it was his baby. I remember one time one of his dogs accidentally came in and knocked it over and kind of dented it a little bit. Oh, man, have I never seen a grown man get more mad before?
That's fair. That's real fair. Now, to answer your question, Gerudo Bear, just want you to know, we see them, we just get caught up. This is not the one that fires missiles. The one that actually fired the little plastic missiles was the newer version of Slave One that came out during the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
It was back during episode 2 when that one came
And
out.
I believe this is the first series run, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but this is, way back in the day. This one specifically came out in 1996. That was when Star Wars was starting to pick up its popularity again out of nowhere. And of course, they had been floating word around that there's a new Star Wars movie coming.
Yeah.
So, of course, Kenner making plenty of dough on that.
And I really just this is one of those that like any collector just really needs for their own like personal collection because like you said, you can just put the figures in it, you can do whatever you want with it. If I had it now, I wouldn't open it. Like if I had this box, it's staying in the box. It's not coming out of this.
Now, I will go ahead and say, and this is my philosophy on it, I can't really enjoy it if it's not out of the box. I'll keep the box. I'll do everything I can to keep the box in great shape. But I want to be able to get it out and enjoy it. I want to set it up. And it's like that with Transformers for me.
Oh, that's completely fair. See, I'm more of a box collector guy.
Of course.
So like when I buy stuff, I like to keep them in the box.
Right.
I like to look at them through the box.
Which is fair.
Yeah, and I mean, there's two different kinds of collectors, and that's what I've always told people is like, there's a collector that you buy it, that way you can display it and look at it and be like, oh, that's so cool. And then there's the collector like me who's like, oh, I'm keeping it in the box. I don't want to ruin it. It's going to be worth more money like that. And you just kind of hang it on your wall and look at it.
Yep.
That's usually what I do.
So, we're on the subject of ships.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about one of the most intimidating Imperial ships ever.
Oh, we're going to talk about my second favorite ship.
Yeah.
My first been the Millennium Falcon, but we ain't got no Millennium Falcons around here.
Darth Vader's TIE Advance.
Oh, man. I love this ship.
So, of course, I know a lot of people ask, why is it designed that way? Why are the wings the way they are? Why is it longer? Why is it wider?
Well, it was Darth
And-
Vader's, that's why.
There was more reasons to it than just that. So, turns out, as we all know, Anakin Skywalker was easily one of the greatest pilots in the Republic, pretty much for all time. Not just current Republic, Old Republic, New Republic. No one has been able to really outdo him as a pilot. So you look at it, and it's like, so why is it designed that way? Turns out, he destroyed more TIE fighters than enemy ships he had shot down at the time, simply because the TIE fighter was meant to be cheap and effective. They were trying to get out ships so that they could police the entire galaxy in the span of a few years.
Yeah.
So, of course, he had to have a ship specifically designed for him that could handle the way he would pilot, because he piloted in space, which not so much of an issue. You still have to worry about like G-force and all that, but when it comes to being in atmosphere, a TIE fighter couldn't handle the way he would pilot it.
Right.
He would make turns that they couldn't handle. So, of course, they made it so that the solar panels on the wings were longer, bigger, and there was more of them. That way, he could draw more power into the generator a lot easier. The ship itself, much bigger. It's so it can house a bigger engine as well as a hyperdrive. The TIE fighter wasn't equipped for hyperspace travel. That was one thing that the X-Wing fighters had as a massive advantage. They had a hyperdrive of their own. TIE fighters, you couldn't chase down rebels in, a ball with wings.
Yeah.
So this was the first attempt. Unfortunately, not many of these were made simply because even most ace pilots couldn't handle the increased engine power for this thing. So it more or less became that Vader had a ton of them extra, and they were only handed out to some of the most elite squadrons outside of himself. So
Didn't a lot of them come, like a lot of Death Troopers use them too? Yeah, as far as I remember, a lot of Death Troopers and pretty much Vader was all that used them.
Yep, because the Death Troopers were designed in a way to be able to tap into the Force, like the Death Troopers and Dark Troopers specifically, were meant to be able to tap into the Force and not so much use it like a Jedi would, but it enhanced their abilities. So that's where the TIE Advance saw most of its uses. There was a few Ace squadrons that could handle it, but not many. Now, you look at a typical TIE fighter, it's really only got a couple of missiles that it can fire off and its typical laser cannons. Now, the big thing with the TIE Advanced, it had so much more. It could carry the same weapon payload as a TIE bomber, which the bomber had a lot of its own design come from the TIE Advanced. The only real big difference is one side of the TIE bomber is dedicated to torpedoes, and they would carry enough that they could level capital ships by themselves.
Yeah. And one thing I do like about this ship, Hampton, is this one actually does shoot.
Yep.
That's one thing that Gerudo Bear was asking about the last one, if it shot. This one does.
Yep. It shoots both lasers and torpedoes.
Yep. And the cockpit opens, so you can put Vader in there.
Yep. And of course, it does come with the man himself.
Yep.
It would be super disappointing if it didn't.
Oh man, could you imagine buying this and it didn't have a little Vader action figure? I'd be so disappointed. I'd be like, are you kidding me? But I like that it shoots. I like that you can open the cockpit up and put Vader inside it. And it says lever activates. So
Yeah, there's a lever on the back of it that you can depress, and it fires the missiles.
okay. See, if I was a little kid, I would play the crap out of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like I would love having this thing. I would probably honestly break it within a couple of days because I used to be really rough on my toys. And I was that little kid that would get a toy and just like beat the crap out of it until it fell apart.
Why are you the way you are?
Well, I'm not like that now. Then you hear me? I'm a very big box collector now.
I mean, there's that at least. How you doing, Randall Roars?
Hey, Randall, how you doing, man? Glad to see you in the chat.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next action figure that we're going to talk about. We've only got a couple more to talk about itself. We will take a short intermission at 3 o'clock. That way we can get us a bit of water to drink. You know, we're going to be talking for a bit.
Yeah, and we do have a couple more giveaways away for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure that you guys are sticking around because the next two giveaways are really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like really impressed when Hampton was like, hey, we should use these for giveaways.
Yep.
So,
Speaking of things to talk about.
oh, this is so cool. This is one of my favorite scenes in Return of the Jedi, by the way.
It's one of the scenes that proves that Boba Fett really is just that much of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he goes in the Sarlacc pit. It's okay. He crawls back out.
Don't give spoilers away.
It's episode 6. And besides, everyone knows he's not actually dead. So, funny
That's
story about that. Boba Fett was never meant to die. Turns out, at the time, George Lucas was in a divorce battle, and at the day that they were going over storyboard for that particular scene, he had his attorney on one phone to handle the divorce. He had his wife on the other phone. His wife was also one of the producers and content creators for Star Wars at the time. So he's trying to talk to her about getting things set up for the movie, what to do with like costumes and stuff. He's got his attorney on the other phone, and one of the guys is like, George, what are we doing with Boba Fett? He's here. We just don't know what to do with him. And he was so frustrated. He's like, you know what? Just throw him in the Sarlacc pit. I don't care. So it turns out, 3 years ago.
So just because George Lucas got a little bit aggravated, Boba Fett went into the pit.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
So turns out 3 years ago in 2018, I rejoiced because for years everyone was like, he's dead. And then, of course, one of the new Star Wars books came out, and it talks about how someone was just walking through the market in Mos Eisley and finds Boba Fett's armor. And it's like, no, there's no way he can be dead. Thankfully, he's not. But what ended up happening was, it's like, throw him in the Sarlacc pit for all I care. George Lucas, in 2018, goes on the record in an interview and says, I never meant for Boba Fett to die. and explain that entire situation. And it's like, there we go. It's canon. He lives.
I like how George Lucas is just like, man, I was just aggravated because I was going through a divorce at the time. I'm sorry, Boba Fett. I'm sorry, Boba Fett fans.
For him to have so few lines, Boba Fett was easily one of the most imposing characters simply by him being there.
Oh yeah, because you was even wearing his mask today when we came on the stream. So I mean, of course, he was one of the most intimidating ones.
So of course, the Tatooine skiff and the entire scene itself is one of those that it's just a lot happens, but it's a lot of things that really help to shape Star Wars as a universe itself. Boba Fett goes in the Sarlacc pit, comes back out later. Luke and Leia and Lando all save Han.
Yeah.
Han's blind the entire time. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. Please help me.
That
Turns
sounds like
out,
my life.
Han Solo was the damsel in distress.
Well, I mean, that's why I like Han Solo because I'm just like him.
Figures. So, of course,
I mean, have you met me?
yeah. So, the great thing about this particular set, this is definitely one of those that you could just keep in the box, and it's great to have in the box.
Yeah.
Because you can look in the background behind the box, it has its own scenery to it.
It even has the pit down there at the bottom, which
and
is cool.
That's kind of the point, is you're not really meant to take it out of the box.
Yeah.
Now, this was made by Hasbro after Hasbro bought out Kenner. And so this is like in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Yeah. So this particular one was copyrighted in 1999.
So right when episode 1 came out.
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, of course, you know, Kenner went through a lot of struggles. They were trying to put out more toys than they could at the time. And it was like, let's make more toys. We don't have the money for it. Let's make more toys. We can't really compete with anyone else. Let's keep making more toys.
I do want to point out that, and this is just funny, but Luke Skywalker is trying his best to do like a Michael Jackson like lean in this. Like I looked at it and I couldn't help but start laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's literally doing a Michael Jackson lean in this.
Now, the one thing to take into consideration, and I don't know if this is something that Hasbro thought about at the time or not, if you look at Luke's right hand, there ain't no glove.
Oh,
His
yeah.
right hand is supposed to be a prosthetic at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
End of episode 5, he loses it.
Yeah, dude, that's something I didn't notice.
So, of course, that just makes it all the more interesting. Is it 100% accurate to what the movie was at the time? Not necessarily, but it's still a really cool collectible, and it's almost impossible to find these skiffs nowadays.
I mean, I didn't even know we had this until we were going through all of our Star Wars stuff, and then you looked over and you're like, hey, we have this. You want to talk about this? I was like, yeah, I want to talk about this.
We had a ton of stuff. It was hard for us to choose because we're trying to fit all this into an hour. We've got one more collectible to talk about. This is one that both of us are going to love.
Oh, yeah. I have a really special story along with this.
Oh, okay. So, of course,
Me being a naive, little kid that didn't know much about Star Wars, I just liked it because cool things were happening on there.
now I will say we can't really call ourselves a collectible show unless we're talking about some Legos.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about some Legos. We always have
Turns
to
out
talk.
that's the back. Here,
Oh,
turn
that's the
around.
back. Oh, hello? It is.
So, of course, episode 1, we've been talking about them. Might as well go ahead and hit episode 1 up. Now, I know a lot of people dislike episode 1, but you gotta admit, it had the coolest form of racing ever.
Yeah.
With pod racing.
Yeah.
Now, the whole idea of it is you're literally just in a seat strapped to 2 spaceship engines.
Yep.
That was the entire start of pod racing. There's been many different types of illegal racing in Star Wars history, with some of the oldest during the Old Republic, just simply known as swoop races.
Yep.
These were highly modified speeder bikes known as swoops. And you would just drive through some of the deadliest areas. Pod racing is the same exact thing, except bigger.
Do you remember the video game from for the N64 or maybe the PlayStation?
Still one of the greatest video games to this day.
Yes.
N64. Yes.
That was one of my very first N64 games ever. Now,
Good game to start with.
funny story with that game. I got it from my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
who was a Star Wars collector that I had just told you all about. I may or may not have forgotten to return that game to him.
If he's watching this, you're doomed.
And by forgotten, I mean forgotten. Because I enjoyed it so much, I just kind of kept it.
If he's watching this, you're doomed.
I think he was fine because that's when he went on to buy like a PlayStation and stuff like that.
That's fair. Unfortunately, Star Wars Racer Revenge was not that great.
Yeah.
They tried to take the same thing, but they didn't really do anything to improve on what was there. Because there were some glaring issues with Episode 1 Pod Racer. But honestly, really awesome game. The fact that you could go through and fully customize your pod racers that you had, build the engine with whatever pieces you want, and different pod racers responded to it differently. So it was honestly one of the cooler games at the time. Honestly, I don't feel like there's been many racing games that can really compete to that.
Yeah. And I know you hated Jar Jar Binks, but honestly, let's admit, one of the funniest scenes from Jar Jar Binks is when he sticks his tongue into like the little electrical cables.
Yep.
And then he's just like,
And then gets his hand stuck.
yeah.
Now, see, the thing is, I do actually love Jar Jar Binks. He really is one of my favorite characters because he's puts a lighthearted spin on it, and he's just one of those perfect examples of the Force protects the fools. Because you know what? There's no power in the galaxy that can stand up to an idiot not knowing what they're doing and screwing something up.
I mean, maybe that's why I was called Jar Jar Binks in school.
So many more things make sense about you now. So, of course, the great thing is with this particular set, once you get them all built, there's stands for both Sebulba's pod and little Anakin's pod. What's more is the fins on Anakin's pod are actually posable. You can open them up, close them. Now, the big thing with those, which a lot of people don't realize, is those were brakes.
Oh, yeah, they weren't they?
Yeah, the whole point was that as he slows down, the brakes open up. Now, most pods, they actually pull along the cords to help with steering. His doesn't. It's all the air brakes.
Have you guys seen the fourth sail barge? Have you seen it?
4-foot sail barge? I've not.
I haven't neither.
I wish I would have found that, but I don't think we would have had much room and still be on camera if we did.
Yeah, we would have to like pull the camera way back if we was to bring that on. I'd like to know where that's at though, because I'd like to see it for myself.
Oh yeah. So
Check that thing out on eBay. $3K, Lordy mercy.
I ain't got that kind of money for Legos. I've already got a crippling Warhammer addiction.
And I've just got a crippling action figure addiction. And anything else I can get my hands on. I've got a problem.
But yeah, so definitely one of the cooler things. And a lot of people didn't realize that that's how Anakin steered his pod racer until people started playing Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer.
Yeah.
And you would go to do a turn and you would see if he's trying to turn to the right, the brakes on his right engine would open up and left engine would close.
You know my favorite thing about this, and you're going to think I'm silly?
What's that?
My favorite thing out of this entire set that I'm holding right now is it comes with Watto.
I mean, yeah.
The guy who owned Anakin and his mom.
Well, okay, well, you think about it, and when it comes down to it, Watto was an exceptionally important character back during Episode 1, because had it not been for him making the bets that he did, and then Qui-Gon cheating.
That's true.
Because Qui-Gon totally manipulated the dice.
But the reason I like Watto the most is because mind tricks don't work on me, only money. I love that line. I still use that line to this day.
You want to stop collecting things and rethink your life.
I want to stop collecting things and rethink my life. No, I don't. Wait, what? Anyway.
All right, guys.
And me and Hampton are going to take a short intermission, 5 minutes. Just keep spamming that keyword while we're gone. We're going to go, get something to drink, use the bathroom, and we'll be right back with you guys. Keep spamming the keyword while we're gone, and we'll roll it when we get back.